All right. All right.
Come on, Steven.
He's used to talking to people.
So I'm Stephen Metz. As many of you guys know me as Stevie Metz. I'm sure you guys remember the band Metz Society. So I'm gonna I'll read from the book. So we'll stay at the same format we did last time.
Whatever you want to do. You'd rather
Okay.
just talk, do whatever you want to do.
Let me see how long it is.
Okay. I love your
It's
story.
pretty
You
quick.
should-
Okay, so I'll read through some of it. And maybe I'll stop midway.
Okay.
Okay, so basically this is about the Hideaway. You guys remember the Hideaway riots? You remember?
Yeah.
It was a riot. It was actually just one. And or was there more than one? I don't remember.
Crenshaw.
Right, but the Hideaway was a place that they basically rented like a giant warehouse, and somebody's converted into for the night, converted into like a punk rock venue. And I remember seeing the guy, and he was like an old promoter, like kind of from the Parliament days, like the early like Grand Funk Railroad and things like that, and like different. So but you know this was actually our second show, and so Castration Squad, Geza X and the Mommy Men, Black Flag, the Circle Jerks, the Adolescents, I think, were all on the same bill, and we were like, you know, when we saw it, I mean, these names, you guys are all punks, so you guys know what a big deal that was. I mean, that was all the good bands, and as a little kid, you know, like those were all the cool bands, you know, that you wanted to see. So we were like, yeah, we'll play. How much are we gonna make? $10? Fine, you know, like it's great. You know? All right, so it reminds me of like some of the races that I'll do, and it's like, well, I get to race, you know, so I don't care whether I win or whatever, or get paid. It's I get to actually be on the course and thrash around. Okay, so a club promoter known for promoting very famous shows during the 70s decided to take a shot at the LA punk scene. So what does he do? He books all these bands that I just mentioned, and our band, Metz Society, and I was only 10 at the time. So the rest of the band wasn't much older. My brother was like 14. I think the oldest band member was Kathy Sample. She was 15. Looking back on that, it's pretty damn young. So in 1980, even just Black Flag would pack the place by itself, right? We all remember, I mean, thousands of people would show up for those shows. So mixing all these bands into one show was like trying to put a skyscraper into a shoebox. Also, they served no alcohol. That's a big no-no. They allowed no ins and outs, and they hired a group of long-haired,
Perfect storm.
new wave dancers to perform in a frame apparatus behind us as a backdrop for our punk show. They were dancing like Fred Astaire, not slamming like punks, right? As we all know, that's a no-no by itself, right? And they did this at a time when, really, like, if you didn't have cut hair, you got beat up, pretty much, right? It was at that same era, that kind of 1980. You know, you don't know this crowd like I do, right? I'll take care of it, don't worry about it. I've been doing this for years. He was a sort of flamboyant, you know, African-American guy. He's like all dressed in tights and, you know, but like, I know what I'm doing. So there's an old saying, and I think it's Germanic, it's Geh Gesundheit, and it means, basically it means move aside, may the way be with you. Please, step aside, there's someone behind you that will heed my advice. Okay? Castration Squad went on with no issues, no dancers. I was really happy. Punks were slamming, the show was going great. We went on the stage, and while we're playing our tune Napalm, I don't know if you guys remember that song. Napalm, Napalm. The dancers come out. I mean, tights, colored hair, long, wavy hair, teased up. Spandex with cutout sections. You know, like freshly cut though, not like it was wore out because they were poor. You know, like fresh cuts, you know what I mean? It's there's a big difference. So, they're showing pieces of skin through sections, variously, you know, placed on their butt or whatever it was. They used temporary hair color, because that was a big problem. So basically, he hired a bunch of posers, and it was a direct insult to us. So if you use temporary dye, you're a poser. That's it. Either cut your hair and be with us, or don't and get beat up. They had long hair. Big mistake. Punks and hippies mix as well as fire and gunpowder. Our LA punks responded by throwing bottles, records. I don't know where they got the records. I think it was a compilation that they had given out. And they were flying, past my head, like over my head mainly, and hitting the dancers behind us. Needless to say, the dancers ran off the stage, and I think I actually turned around. I was like, oh no, yeah, I was shocked, and they were throwing stuff, so I kind of stopped. I was like, what's going on? And they said they're throwing them at the dancers. Don't worry, they're not going to hit you. But meanwhile, there's bottles whizzing by my head. So we played about 2 more songs, and next thing I know, the wall at the front of the room gets kicked down and lit on fire.
After they broke down the door.
After they bashed in the combination, after they had bashed in, okay, so it says, the combination of no alcohol and no ins and outs caused a lot of anger at the entrance.
And lots of
And
brewmeisters.
they ended up ramming the promoter's gold Rolls Royce through the front door to get back into the club, right? Because they wouldn't let him in. So they let the guys out, a bunch of punks, wouldn't let him in. So the riot squad shows up, and we had to roll our equipment out, barely escape with our gear, and a bunch of our friends got hurt. I learned a lot that night. Do your research. Know the environment your clientele likes. Heed advice from those with more experience in the particular field that you're attempting to participate in. Moral of the story, sometimes you have to listen to a 5th grader. So that's the little excerpt from the book. It's funny that I still remember that stuff being like I was really young, but I remember really feeling strongly about it and then seeing this stuff come to fruition. And not being that surprised, actually.
Yeah.
And how many of you are surprised after the setup?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we knew what would happen. It's like if you have a friend with long hair who come, which now is no problem. I mean, even Alex Gonzalez has long hair. But back then, it was a big deal, He gets a hall pass now. So.
Okay, question and
anyway.
answer.
Okay.
Okay, how were you able, at 10 years old, to get out of the house? Because I couldn't get, at 15, I was fighting my parents, I was sneaking, I was lying, I was doing whatever I could.
Yeah, it's funny because that's often one of the big questions that people have. And honestly, I mean, now, it's still kind of crazy. My mom was single, and we didn't have tons of money growing up. At one point we were so poor, and this is actually a true story, she'll deny it, but we were so poor we rented out our 1-bedroom in our 1-bedroom apartment. So we didn't have a bunch of support systems around us, to say the least. So if I snuck out, then I was gone. But I also had guys like Kevin and Alex. It's interesting that we're still in touch.
Yeah, so good.
I had friends that were older, and a lot of times, honestly, I was safer in most of those punk shows. I was definitely safer than anybody else in those rooms. Because if you messed with me, you got your ass beat by 50 punks. I mean, really, it was dangerous for people.
Dude, the best one's the Starwood.
Half of them girls.
Everyone. But my friends were, we were tough kids. I mean,
The best
we were
one's
really,
the Starwood one.
Yeah, the Star
Where you
one's
got
crazy.
stuck.
Actually, I don't want to tell that story.
Tell the story. Yeah, tell the story.
Well, there's a scene. Okay, so all right, I'll tell it, but nobody can record. Honey, are you videotaping this?
Yeah, do you want it videotaped or not?
Don't videotape.
Okay, don't
Yeah,
videotape
yeah,
it.
yeah.
No, because I